The next question is from Sujash, who asks, who is your absolute favourite novelist and poet? What are the two names that spring to mind?
I think I'd say William Boyd is my favourite novelist, I think. And I am not an expert in poetry by any means. I think Philip Larkin was pretty amazing. We'll go for those two.
Sounds good. Next question is from Kristin from Worcester in Massachusetts, who says that she thinks the song you co-wrote for Kylie Minogue is amazing and also very Keane-esque. Would you and the band consider performing it in the way that you obviously did Early Winter? Would you consider performing Everything is Beautiful?
I don't know. Is it that Keane-esque?
I suppose it would be if you played it.
If you're very Keane-esque, we played it, yeah. I don't know, maybe. I feel like Early Winter was more Keane-esque. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I got a feeling we probably won't.
Okay. Was it a good experience working with Kylie?
It was brilliant working with Kylie, yeah. She was absolutely lovely and a really good singer, contrary to what everyone always says about her. But yeah, great fun. It was me and her and Fraser T. Smith, who's a pretty great producer and writer, and Stuart Price, who's kind of seems to be producing all the hit albums at the moment, in a room. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Next question is from Infotope, who asks, do you play the piano often aside from the times you rehearse or compose? If so, what do you choose to play on those occasions?
I probably most often play the piano in the pub, possibly after a few beers, but I love playing just for fun, I suppose, and having, when you've got a little gang of people around a piano and singing songs, I think is just for me, is one of the great feelings.
What kind of thing would you play?
Well, you normally start with the Beatles. I think you gotta find the common ground that everyone knows, and so the Beatles is a good starting point. Paul Simon. I'd normally chuck in a couple of Springsteen favourites of mine. And then, I don't know, what else is good? It's that sort of thing. I mean, I love playing kind of the old classics from like the 40s and 50s as well, stuff like Irving Berlin and White Christmas, or The Way You Look Tonight.
Oh wow!
All that sort of stuff, and love playing those. That was such an amazing era of songwriting, and it's amazing how many people know those songs, even sort of 70 years later, which is a testament to how amazing those songs are. It kind of always makes me think that's quite a benchmark to aspire to.
Next question is from PointGuard022, also known as Mia, and she asks, have you ever written the lyrics or music for a song while you were dreaming?
Yeah, I have, but I've never really had a kind of yesterday moment where I've woken up and discovered that I've just written one of the greatest songs of all time. Still crossing my fingers, but I find the problem is that it's very hard to remember them, especially if it's the middle of the night. But and also the other thing is that sometimes you're having a dream and you're dreaming about a song and think this is the best song that's ever been written, and then you wake up and it's just awful, like really childishly simple drivel. So I think your mind can play tricks on you in that respect. But I remember when when I was writing songs for Perfect Symmetry, a lot of that I sort of go to bed and then keep having ideas just as I was drifting off to sleep, and then keep having to get up and sort of go record the little thing, sort of demo or whatever before I went to sleep. And a lot of those ideas, you know, were things that ended up on the album.
Mimi in Arizona asks, what do you do to feel better when you're feeling low?
I think writing a good song is one of the things that makes me happiest. Although that's you know, you can never know that you're going to write a good song. So if you're feeling low and I go and try and write a song and can't write a decent note, then that probably just makes me feel even worse. But I think I like being outdoors. I like sort of walking and being up on the hills on my own. And I also really like just sitting around with friends, kind of drinking a beer and, you know, putting the world to rights, basically. That's kind of my absolute favourite thing to do. So, you know, if I can, I think I'm quite a sociable creature, so I quite like to be around people. So if it's always that always makes you forget your troubles, I think.
Vali Dominescu from Romania asks, a big question this one, you've got this, it's the first thing that comes into your head. Which Keane song is your favourite?
You haven't told me anything.
Okay. Any particular reason?
I think well, lots of reasons. I think I'm really proud of the lyrics for it. I think it's very original and unusual as a song. Quite unusual for Keane as well. And I also love I think it's quite an original topic, actually. And it's got a lot of kind of spirit to it, a lot of bite. But I also love the sound of the track as well. I think it's quite it's a really unusual sort of rhythm and lots of unusual synth sounds, but it's also quite sparse. And so yeah, I'm really it's, you know, it's not like, it wasn't a single or anything, obviously, but just whenever that track comes on, I think, wow, you know, did we really do this? Seems hard to believe, but yeah, very proud of that one.
The next question is from Fody, who says, you're all self-confessed fans of the Inbetweeners. There's 4 of them, 4 of you. If you had to assign each member of Keane to an Inbetweener, who would be who?
Well, it's funny that you should ask, because we've been having that same conversation ourselves in the last few days. We've decided, well, we started off because we thought that Tom was getting increasingly like Jay, with his general sort of combination of chavvy sports casual wear and incredibly crude humour. And then obviously the other boys decided that I was like Will, which I think's a cheap shot, but probably true. And Jesse decided he wanted to be Simon, which, you know, I'm not sure about. I'm not sure he's got the sensitivity of Simon. No, I don't know. And that really just leaves Neil. Every time we say that Richard's like Neil, he always says, well, I can't do the robot. I think he's worried that we're going to sort of stage some sort of in-betweeners reenaction, and we're going to force him to do some crazy dancing in a Nissan hut in a caravan club or whatever.
Exactly. It's always good to know that the members of Keane have the same questions as the fans.